Jerusalem's status is perhaps the most disputed in the world. Now, U.S. President Donald Trump has added even more drama.
I have determined that it is time to officially recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel.
Trump ended 7 decades of U.S. ambiguity on the issue, long fought over by Israelis and Palestinians. As expected, the move has rattled the Islamic world. Iran said serious repercussions would await the U.S. and Israel.
By doing this, they will be hit harder than before. The Islamic world will undoubtedly stand up to them. The enemy will absolutely be unable to achieve its desired goals on the issue of Palestine. Palestine will be liberated.
Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan had threatened to sever ties with Israel before Trump announced his decision. While meeting with the press in Ankara during a visit by Jordan's king, Erdogan warned the U.S. could create public unrest throughout the Islamic world.
One must stay away from taking any steps to change Jerusalem's legal status, which has been repeatedly confirmed by the United Nations. No one has the right to play with the fate of billions of people for the sake of one's personal ambitions. This kind of step would only play into the hands of terrorist organizations.
United Nations Chief Antonio Guterres reiterated that a two-state solution is the only way out.
In this moment of great anxiety, I want to make it clear. There is no alternative to the two-state solution. There is no plan B.
The U.S.'s allies in Europe, including the UK, France, and Germany, have also expressed disagreement over Trump's announcement. Meanwhile, Canada said its embassy will remain in Tel Aviv, adding that Jerusalem's status can only be determined as part of peace talks.
Well, Hamas has also weighed in on the announcement. Its leader, Ismail Haniyeh, has called it a war declaration against Palestinians. Let's get you more reactions now on that story. I'm joined live from Cairo by CGTN's Adel El-Marouki, and also joining us live from Gaza is our correspondent, Noor Harazin. Noor, let's start with you. A war declaration. That's a very strong statement there from Hamas. Just tell us how Palestinians are reacting to the announcement made by Donald Trump.
Well, since yesterday, and the Palestinian people are shocked and surprised. They never thought that this could happen, only until Donald Trump really did go on air and said that he is recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. Since then, and there has been protests in the Gaza Strip. Islamic factions and other political Palestinian factions in Gaza have called on people to take the streets. They have been chanting against against Donald Trump and the decision of the U.S. government, burning flags, the American flags, and burning the photos and pictures of Donald Trump. Only 1 hour ago, a speech by Ismail Haniyeh, a big leader in Hamas, who was the previous prime minister, Palestinian prime minister, declared it as a war against Israel, asking the Palestinian people and the youth in Gaza and in the West Bank to head to the borders between Palestine and Israel tomorrow afternoon to protest against this decision and to clash face-to-face with the Israeli forces.
And indeed, that is exactly what many around the world have been worried about. Tensions would increase at this point, of course, and this is great concern to the Arab world. Adel, what more can you tell us about the Arab League's response to President Trump's announcement?
Well, the Arab League has released a statement yesterday reflecting the fury within the Arab world about Trump's announcement. And they said that the decision threatens peace in the region. It encourages more instability, and more violence could break because of that decision. It has also warned about the consequences that could happen when there is when the hope of having East Jerusalem as the capital, not just to Palestinians but to the rest of the Arab and Islamic world. When that hope is gone, there could be catastrophic consequences, according to the Secretary General of the Arab League. They have called for an emergency meeting, the details of which have not been announced yet. It is expected to be held on Saturday, where foreign ministers will be discussing the fate their reaction to the Arab world, while many politicians are asking to have a more tangible, a more materialistic set of decisions or reactions, rather than only the Arab world has always been satisfied with releasing only statements of condemnation, and many people now are asking the League to take a step up and to make Arab countries have a unified and a strong response that is as equal as the magnitude of that decision.
And Noor, as you heard there from Adele, there's been strong warnings from the Arab League. There's been strong warnings from leaders across the globe. But of course, Trump has ignored them all so far. Just how much tension will this announcement likely create in the region, and in particular for the Palestinian peace process?
Well, the Palestinian people do have hope since 60 years ago, and they do still have hope in the international community, in the Arab League, in the Arab and Muslim countries. So after all the reactions since yesterday, the Palestinian people do think that this move could benefit the Palestinian cause. We have been speaking to Palestinian people on the ground, normal citizens, and also to political analysts, and many of them are saying that this move could benefit the Palestinian cause by pushing the international community and the Arab League and the Islamic countries to finally take a step against the continuous Israeli violations. And maybe this could be the next move where more and more countries will recognize Palestine as a state on the 1967 borders.
You're absolutely right. It certainly has focused the world's attention on what Palestine is facing. And Adele, just coming back to you, we understand that Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has actually spoken to President Trump on the phone. What is Egypt's position on this announcement?
Well, the Egyptian president did have a telephone call, actually. Trump has called a few Arab leaders, among them Egypt and Saudi Arabia, on Tuesday night, just a day ahead before his announcement. And right after Trump's announcement on Wednesday, Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has also had an immediate phone call afterwards with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas, where President al-Sisi has stressed on Egypt's firm rejection to the decision. And he said that there has been hopes to resort to political dialogue and peace talks that would produce a fate that is acceptable by both Israelis and Palestinians as well. All in all, Egypt has been taking a firm position in that regard. It has been hosting dialogue between the Palestinians, Hamas and Fatah in particular, to make sure that there is a unified government that represents all Palestinians and that can have the power to reach an agreement with Israel. So that was all Egypt's hope. In several occasions, President al-Sisi has said that there is real hope for a peace deal that could happen soon or within the coming months or years, a few years. And he said that this was a unique opportunity, and accordingly, Palestinian factions, Egypt and the Arab world have been moving accordingly. And the decision comes as a shock and an interruption to these efforts to reach peace.
Thank you so much, Adele Al-Marouki, and our correspondent Noor Harazin, following the regional reaction there for us.